Hey there, welcome back to the British Accent Podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Nick. Glad to have you with us again. Today's episode is one of those quieter ones, gentle, really. We're talking about those days when progress doesn't look big, but it still counts.
Exactly. You know, there's this idea that moving on has to look impressive, starting fresh, ticking goals off a list, being super productive. But sometimes, moving on just means getting out of bed. Literally.
Right. Just opening your eyes, sitting up, putting your feet on the floor. Even if you don't go anywhere after that. That first step, however small, is still movement.
And for anyone who's been through grief, heartbreak, burnout, or just a really heavy season of life, you'll know, getting out of bed can feel like climbing a mountain.
It's easy to underestimate how much energy it takes to exist when you're carrying emotional weight. You might not even realize how hard you're fighting, just to show up at all.
People often say, keep moving forward, but no one really defines what that means. So we end up thinking it has to be dramatic. But forward can just mean, today, I brushed my teeth. Today, I opened the curtains. That's enough.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not about how it looks on the outside. No one else might see that effort. No one applauds when you sit up in bed with tears in your eyes. But that quiet decision to face the day, it's powerful.
And honest. Because moving on isn't always linear. You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel healed. It's more like, you choose again and again to not give up. Even when it still hurts.
Exactly. And there's something beautifully brave about that. The world tells us to be bold and loud with our healing, but some of the most real healing happens in silence, in softness.
And in moments no one else sees. Like the moment you don't hit snooze for the 10th time, or you finally wash your face after a few rough days. Small things, but deeply meaningful.
I think there's a kind of courage in choosing to stay, even when everything in you feels stuck. Like, you're not pretending everything's fine, but you still choose to live through the hard bits.
Yeah. And I think we forget that healing isn't about always feeling better. Sometimes it's just about feeling at all. Letting the sadness be there without shutting it down, or running from it.
That's it. Not every day needs to be about fixing something. Some days are just about being, sitting with what is, without pressure to change it straight away.
And I think we often underestimate how much our bodies and minds are doing in the background. Just surviving stress, processing grief, coping with change, it takes energy, even when we're doing nothing.
Totally. And that's why it's important to stop beating yourself up for not being productive all the time. Rest is part of the process. So is stillness. They are not failures, they are necessary.
We talk about progress like it's always visible, always moving. But sometimes, progress looks like staying still without falling apart. Not spiraling. Just breathing, just staying.
And even if you've done it 100 times before, doing it again still matters. Today's courage is different from yesterday's. It might be quieter, but it's just as real.
Absolutely. And for anyone listening right now, if you're in that place, where just being awake feels like a win, we want to remind you, it is a win. Don't downplay that.
There's no scoreboard for emotional resilience. No checklist that says, now you've officially moved on. It's more personal than that. More human.
And it changes day by day. Some mornings, you'll feel like you can take on the world. Others, you'll just want to stay under the covers. Both are part of the journey.
That's why we need more compassion, for ourselves, especially. Less judgment, more grace. It's okay if you're not where you thought you'd be. You're still here. Still trying.
And that matters more than you know. We see you. And you're not alone in this.
You know what else, Em? Sometimes people don't realize that moving on doesn't mean you're completely over what happened. It just means you're learning to carry it differently.
That's such a good way to put it. It's not about erasing the pain, it's about making space for it to exist without it swallowing you. And that takes time. Some days, you'll carry it better than others.
And it's alright if it still shows up unexpectedly. You might think you're fine, then something small, like a smell, a song, an old message, can pull it all back. That's not a step backwards. That's just being human.
Grief, sadness, even exhaustion, they don't follow a schedule. And healing doesn't come with a deadline. Some wounds just need gentleness over and over again.
I think the hardest part is letting go of the pressure to perform healing for others. You know, like pretending you're fine because people expect you to be over it by now.
Yes. There's a kind of invisible timeline people put on your recovery. But it's okay to say, I'm still in it. No one gets to decide when your pain should expire.
Or when your motivation should return. You might still be in the season of slow mornings and quiet evenings. And that's okay. It doesn't make you lazy, or behind, or weak.
Honestly, I think it shows strength. It shows you're honoring what you feel instead of pushing it away for the sake of appearances. That's maturity. That's resilience.
And one day, without even realizing it, you'll look back and notice how far you've come. Maybe not in miles, but in mindset. In how you talk to yourself. In how you stay kind even when it's hard.
So if today all you did was breathe through the day, that's still something to be proud of. Still something worth saying out loud.
Especially in a world that glorifies hustle and speed. There's power in moving slowly. Quietly. Steadily.
And there's so much hope in just showing up to the day, even if you're still carrying the weight. Even if you're not ready to run yet. You got up. You're here.
It kind of makes you think, doesn't it, how much we miss when we only celebrate the loud milestones. Like the promotions, the big changes, the flashy, look what I did moments.
Exactly. We forget to honor the quiet ones. The mornings when we didn't snooze the alarm, even though we wanted to. The times we showed up to life without anyone clapping for it.
And maybe that's the kind of strength we should start normalizing. Not the one that pushes through everything relentlessly, but the one that says, I'm tired, but I'll still be gentle with myself.
Because that version of strength, that soft, grounded, present strength, it keeps you alive in ways ambition alone never can. It makes space for both effort and ease.
I love that. And it's something I'm still learning. That I don't have to fight everything. I can choose peace. I can choose to pause. And I'm still worthy, even on the days when I'm not striving.
We all are. No matter how still, slow, or small our steps might look from the outside. What matters is we keep going in the way that feels right for us.
Sometimes, even standing still is resistance. It's a refusal to be swept up in noise you didn't choose. That's powerful in its own quiet way.
So for anyone listening and feeling like you haven't done enough lately, just remember, your worth isn't tied to your productivity. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to just be.
And that version of you, the one who's still figuring it out, still holding on, still breathing, that version deserves kindness too. Maybe especially that version.
You know what's wild? Sometimes the biggest shift happens when you stop asking, what more should I be doing, and start asking, what do I actually need right now?
Yeah, that one simple question changes everything. Because maybe what you need isn't a goal or a plan or another checkbox. Maybe it's a nap. Maybe it's to step outside and feel the air.
Or to be alone for a while. Or to talk to someone who reminds you you're not failing just because your life looks quieter than others. It's not a race, it's not a show.
And even if it were, no one else really knows what your full story is. They don't see the things you're holding, the things you've survived. They just see the surface.
Which is why self-compassion matters so much. Because you're the only one who truly knows how hard it's been to keep going. And you deserve credit for every inch forward, even the invisible ones.
Honestly, some of the strongest people I know are the ones who've learned to sit in the silence of their own healing. Who've let the noise fade long enough to hear what their heart is actually saying.
And sometimes it's saying, I'm exhausted, or I miss who I used to be, or I don't know what comes next. And that's okay. It doesn't need to be fixed right away.
It just needs to be felt. Acknowledged. Sat with. And when you can do that, when you can stay with yourself, even in the discomfort, that's when real healing begins.
Not flashy. Not quick. But real. Quiet. Rooted. Like the kind of growth that happens underground before anything blooms.
Exactly. You may not see it yet. But that doesn't mean nothing's happening. It just means your story's unfolding in a softer way. And that's still beautiful.
And maybe, if there's one thing we can leave you with today, it's this. Even if your life feels still, even if it doesn't look like progress to anyone else, that doesn't mean it's not meaningful.
Because value doesn't always come wrapped in noise or movement. Sometimes, it's found in the quiet choice to stay, to breathe, to be gentle, and to begin again, without needing anyone's permission.
Thanks for being here with us today. If this episode made you feel a little more seen, a little more understood, know that you're not alone.
You're doing better than you think. Take your time. We'll see you in the next one.
Until then, look after yourself. This has been the British Accent Podcast.